So welcome to Sounds Heavenly. Welcome back to Bang and Olufsen of Lincoln. We're continuing a look at a fantastic Bang and Olufsen collection, certainly the best one I've seen outside the Struer Museum.
Previously we looked at the Junior from 1937, and if we jump 10 years, which is quite a way, then we come to another radio. I really quite like this. It's the Mini 47. I have a couple of things actually.
I've never seen this before.
No, they're quite giddy.
Yeah.
If we went and looked at a lot of my collection from this period, they're really quite big, and that's why this was called the Mini.
Yeah.
The scaler is in beautiful condition, as is the painted face behind it. It does work. It's a really nice one. I really like it. And again, it's one of those unsung heroes for me. But from the same period, so within the same year, actually this is 1 year later, I do have one again, which is, she's a little cutie, I think. I don't know what it is. I like the Diddy ones.
Yeah.
So Beolit. I think this is the last Beolit, full-blown Beolit they made.
Right.
So this is the Beolit 48, and if you look at the scaler, Steve, you can see this one's in not great condition.
So it's just sliding a little bit, isn't it?
Sliding a lot of it.
Oh, actually, yes, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Virtually impossible.
Yeah.
To read in places. Again, some enterprising Dane has produced a replacement scaler.
Oh, that's nice. Yes.
Yeah. Again, I've just got this saved. I'm not going to put it on. I like the radio as it is. Yeah. And this is from home. This is as part of a collection in the kitchen. There are little parts of home where we have radios, and my wife she indulges me that I'm not allowed to have bikes in the house, but I am allowed to have radios in the house. And in the same period, Bang and Olufsen had a bit of a problem with, as did everybody, just post-war, was with valves to produce radios. And so after Peter Bang came back from America with a Remington razor, they decided that they too would use the crux press that was making Beolit to produce some shavers, and they made a little range.
Now I've heard about these, but I've not seen them before.
Right, okay. So, not a very nice box, this one. But this is, I've never plugged it in, so I don't know if it works. So it says on there, made in Denmark. And this is the SH shaver 7U, slightly shorter. There were two versions of this, and there was also a lady shave, and this is the SH4, which is slightly more curvaceous. I think you would probably adjust the speed here. There isn't an on-off button, so I guess it was just on, and then you plugged it in, which brought it on. But the shavers are interesting for me, Steve, because it's that thing the first time you see one, you think, oh, a Bang and Olufsen shaver, whoa, tell me all about it. And of course, then one of the collectors, one of the guys you see in Denmark, they go through it all with you. You think, right, I'm having one of those. So, similar period, 1947, 1946, to the Mini 47, and of course here the Beolit.
The Beolit, yeah.
Beolit. Okay, we are moving on somewhat, and this is the Mini Ultra from 1960.
I do like this.
Yeah, now there's an interesting backstory to this one, Steve. So it was called the Architect's model, and the Mini Modern, it's a very modern design. So this is 1960, so it's the start of the 60s. And the traditional model, and I'm sure you can cut away to an image of it, I don't have one, is rosewood and very dark. So it's a dark wood. And they made this, the Ultra, And it was called the Architects models by the Bang and Olufsen dealers of the day because the only people who bought it were architects. It was that avant-garde, forward-thinking. And I particularly like it, I just like it because it's really, really pretty.
Really distinctive, isn't it, in those colours?
Yes, it's beautiful. So, the backstory then. There was a very famous designer called Paul Henningsen. Paul Henningsen did a lot of lighting. So if you look at all of the PH lights, the Architects, the PH5, a lot of famous lighting from Denmark were designed by this guy. And famously, all of his designs meant that you couldn't see the light bulb. So he's a clever guy. And in 1954, at an exhibition, he slated all of the brown wood designs, which were effectively a follow-on from pre-war. So there were lots of over-elaborate brown wood radios with bits of brass on them, and they were over-engineered, and he effectively said they looked like a potato merchant's toilet door, or something of that ilk. He effectively said, and unfortunately, when the article was published, there was a Bang and Olufsen radio amongst the other radios, and B&O took great exception to this, and they decided that they needed to do something about it. And this radio was one of the follow-on pieces where they continued to make the traditional darker wood, but they branched out and made more modern designs. And the reason I like it is because of that backstory, really, the fact that Paul Henningsen, who I have some of his lighting myself, is someone who I highly regard, had come along, said what he said, and Bang & Olufsen reacted by doing something right at the cutting edge of design. So 1960, the Mini Ultra. Yeah. Now I don't know who made this, it's a badged machine, so it's the Beolit 4000 Video. It would have been made by either the Japanese Victor Company, JVC, Victor Company of Japan, or possibly Shibaden, I'm not too sure, but this is the first Bang & Olufsen video recorder, and it's working with 1/2 inch, that's the size, you can actually see the tape in there, so that's the size, 1/2 inch EIAJ monochrome format, so there's a black and white open reel video recorder, and with it you had a little black and white camera, which sadly I don't have. I have had them in the past, I've had Panasonic ones from my early days in video, and this is from 1970. You could record video on it with audio, or you could record audio only. So, and you can actually see this one has been modified to some degree. Somebody's put the original owners put some bits of foam, glued them into the panel to stop the reels jumping off and damaging. So they obviously travelled with it and moved it around their home or their business, whatever they did. But not so many of these around. I don't know how many they made, but certainly a lot. Because it's very big and very heavy, a lot of them would have been thrown out. And then next to it, from the same period, 1969. This is actually a Beovision 601. There were two versions of this. There was also a Beovision 600. From what I understand, the Beovision 600 was called the B&O bomb. So the reason it was called the B&O bomb was, you know, when an electrolytic capacitor leaks, it gets hot and it smokes, there would be smoke coming from the TV. Right, and people used to, I know from our days, customers would ring up and say, the TV's on fire, the TV's on fire. Of course the TV wasn't on fire, something had leaked out of the lit, it got a bit hot and produced a bit of smoke. But the early version of this was prone, so the Beovision 600 was prone to problems with the capacitors. Now there are a few things that are quite nice about this. The trumpet stand is obvious. It's a very, very elegant, very distinctive Bang & Olufsen, and from that period the loudspeakers used the same form. It was designed in part by a very young English designer who'd gone over to Denmark, who became very famous, and that's David Lewis. So this was the first project which David Lewis worked on. And there are a couple of other little features that are quite nice, I like anyway. I'm going to turn it around so you can have a look, Steve. So there's a really nice form on the rear, which was not uncommon.
No, but that's particularly nice and smooth. We've also got retractable mains cable.
A retractable, because it was a portable television.
Yes, that's thoughtful.
And then, because it was a portable television with the retractable, I'll put a UK plug on that.
Yeah.
These were sold in the UK. Almost everything else you've seen has not been sold in the UK. It's before Bang & Olufsen was imported. But this was sold in the UK. It also had the carrying handle.
Superb.
So you could move it around your home,
Yes.
pull the lead out.
Yeah.
Of course it has, as you can see, built-in aerial. So it's a truly portable and actually a really elegant and clever piece of design.
Yes.